for joining us today. You want a moderator, or you want? I can speak. You know the story.
I'll do my best, sure.
Okay.
And he will be answering questions for us, so we're just going to sit here and
Enjoy the breeze. Enjoy the
do
breeze.
this and we'll do this.
Let's give a hand for our esteemed guests. Dangerous Bob. Yay! Marvin McIntyre.
We have a winner, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy. Thank you all for being here.
Terry Holler.
Yeah.
All right, so Terry and Ollie, you know, they're locals, right? They produced this from South Carolina.
Yeah.
They come all the way out here to do this because of the love of these movies. And I have to say, I've never seen an event, a production like this, that has so much swag. Kimball, how many pieces of swag have they handed? 22 different items they've already handed out.
Really?
Yeah.
I got two.
I got one.
What?
How many got the metal?
We all did. Everything.
You got a bulletproof vest? I just learned about that today. Wow. Anyway, I'm just in awe, even though there's certain logistical things that have been white flag. But it's amazing, this family is just fantastic, and I think maybe we should ask one of the family elders to speak, and that would be the man who worked on all three films. Actually, two gentlemen here worked on all three films. DB is our prop master, and Dean Cundy is our cinematographer.
You were using the term gentleman loosely. That's only because you knew my six ex-wives.
Six wives of Henry the...
Were there any challenges in particular in setting up for
It was such an easy film. There was no technical stuff involved. There was no Western period. Wait a second. Which film are we talking about?
Well, I'm going to try to focus on part three, but as you know, most of you may know part two and three were originally the same script, Paradox.
I thought you were talking about Satan's Cheerleader.
That's right, you guys worked on 7 films together?
I think so. Was it 7?
6 or 7, yeah.
Yeah.
These guys
All
go
at
way
Universal?
back.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think so.
we couldn't get off that loud. In fact, on Legal Eagles, we started it at Warner Brothers, ended up back at, with Bob Redford, we came in with Johnny. That wasn't one of yours, but we ended up back at Universal too, but yeah. And we did Psycho 2 and 3 and a bunch of others.
Yeah. Yeah. But what was your
That's the
question?
way I remember it.
So in looking back at part 3, were there any obstacles that I know a DB example, you made the miracle of the license plate during lunch when
On part 1, yeah.
on part 1
That's
when it
that
came
through
back
all
from the
3 of
future.
them. Yes.
Well,
Any moments like that ring?
Well, for me, what was interesting, I always loved Bob Zemeckis movies because they were always something new and different. And number 3 was a look at the Western film, but with sort of that wink, wink, nudge, nudge that we sort of relate the Western film, but try to explain the real West and all that is kind of, which is what made it fun, I think.
Yeah, the
for us
homage.
for us to, and then of course all of the stuff that ties into 1 and 2 also. But some of the tricky stuff, which we started with 2 but came into 3, was making 2 Michael J. Foxes, and creating interesting shots. I mean, you can do that by setting up a shot and having 2 people stand in the frame, and you remove one, you remove other, just like Photoshop now. Photoshop actually came out of Industrial Light and Magic, which is the company that did the work for us. So now you guys can do all the stuff that we almost could do, and some stuff we couldn't do. So, but that was one of the challenges, was trying to invent interesting shots. And if you watch the movie, I always suggest if you want to watch a movie with a critical eye, with a learning experience, put the movie on and turn off the sound, so you don't get distracted by the story. Because then you can say, oh, I see the camera's doing this, and you know, we love making one shot that had close-ups and then back to a two-shot and then a wide one that pans and here comes the mayor and back and forth. And so keeping that style with the digital work we had to do to make 2 Michael J. Fox was, you know, one of the big sort of underplayed challenges. You can see a lot of big stuff on the set, dragging Michael on the ground and all of these, you know, kind of flamboyant. But the subtle stuff was probably some of the more challenging and interesting.
Did you do all the storyboarding for part 3?
We had a storyboard guy, a really good one, Andrew Rowe, who understood filmmaking. Sometimes storyboard guys are guys who draw comic books, and they would really rather be doing some big comic book. You know, so you give them a script and they make a comic book out of it with static frames and things. Ed was really good with creating movement and illusion and knowing what the camera had to do. And so we would give him little sketches, you know, barely recognizable stick figures, right? And he'd say, oh, I see, yeah, more like this. Yeah, that's okay. And then he'd go off and make great stuff. And somebody here, who has the storyboard? Huh?
Andrew, you have an
Oh,
original
Andrew.
storyboard?
I had 2 large storyboards installed. I had them when I showed.
Yeah, but the one he,
was stolen last night?
Yeah, it was called.
2 nights ago out of your car?
Yeah.
but he's got,
Hey, you locals, keep an eye out for that, okay?
yeah, but he's got one that if you get a chance, harass him and ask to see it. Can you show it to some people?
Yeah, I actually made copies for everyone, but they were all stolen that box too.
Oh, that's too bad. So, but for I think he said he'll give you a look at the stuff as an example for $2, and a longer look for $3.
I will return the ones that don't sell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I have a
I'm a
storyboard
generous
for part 1 in reproduction. I'll give it to you. We'll talk later, excuse me.
Yeah, of course.
So the sketches you'd give to the storyboard artist, were there, I keep coming back to that one beautifully composed shot of Clara on the, at the station waiting for the train.
Oh, yeah, the
And
low angle, the camera booms down.
it conveys so much without any dialogue at all. And
Yeah,
it's so
the
beautiful.
loneliness of the poor school teacher.
Did you compose that?
Yeah, I think so. But I don't
Just
know.
say yes, it's all right.
Yes. Well, everybody fought me on it, and I created that one beautiful image.
You're a hero. You're a
Yeah,
hero.
yeah. He said, no, Bob, we're doing it my way. You may be the director, but we're doing it my way. I said, yes, sir. Mr.
Yeah,
Cundy, yes,
and then
sir."
the next day when I tried to find a job somewhere,
Here's mine.
How long have you been
Is that the
unemployed,
day I gave you
unemployed,
2
Mr.
fingers
Cundy?
of JV Scotch?
I think that was.
That studio 2 fingers.
Yeah, I
Okay.
just,
Never drank.
One of the actors in the film I mentioned, and some of you heard me say it earlier, Richard Dysart,
Yeah.
who played the barbed wire salesman, and Marvin McIntyre and myself also appeared together in a film that was shot, at least the scene was shot here at Railtown 1897, which, at the same time the first film, Back to the Future 1 was being made, was Pale Rider. And just kind of coincidental that we have made it up here for this. It's kind of, I'm honored to be back here. But this is your first time?
I'm only here because of Jeffrey. I was in another film called Fandango, and it has a loyal group of fans as well. Thank you. No, too late. Too late. It also has a group of fans who get together every once in a while. It's a movie that starts out in Austin, Texas, and these 5 guys are finished with college. It's Vietnam War. It's blah blah blah. Kevin Costner's first
you're
starring
gonna tell
role.
us the whole story?
I am. Scene 1,
Yeah.
frame 1. And by the way, there's 24 frames for each second, so
Yeah.
settle back. Anyway, they come down and they retrace the route, and I went down and did that. And afterwards, the guy who ran that sent me an email that said there's a guy named Jeffrey Weissman, and he wants to know if he can get in touch with you. I went, no. He said, I gave him your, I said, no, you're supposed to ask me for, no. And yes, and Jeffrey said, I have these two friends who are doing this thing, and then Terry, and actually just Terry, I didn't meet Oliver till I got here. She communicated and she invited me out, so much to her surprise, I said yes, and here I am. So that's how I got here.
We're happy to
Thank you.
Credit where
Dismissed
credit
now.
is due.
I think Rick Young and Tommy Shaw propped that,
Yeah,
my roommate
yeah.
at the beach in
They're-
Manhattan Beach. Yeah.
They, well, that's a Fandango story.
Yeah.
But they literally came this close to saving my life. I went out walking in the Texas heat, kind of like this, where all the liquid in your body evaporates. And I'm walking along the highway, and the whole world is starting to fade out of focus. And this voice says, would you like a ride back to the office? And I can't even remember if it was Rick or
Young,
Tom.
it was Rick or Tom usually together.
Yeah, it was one of the
Was
two.
he
of them.
red-haired?
I just can't remember.
Red-haired?
I can't.
Yeah.
Come on, I was dying. I said yes, and he got me in his car in the air conditioner, and I went back, and 16 gallons of water later, I was able to urinate. But that's another film.
Fandango, you also were one of the few actors that played cowboys in both Pale Rider and the same year Silverado.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so jealous. Yeah. Well, actually, in Silverado, I wasn't a cowboy. But,
Oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry, I stand flat-footed.
Yeah.
I mean,
was
corrected.
what was called a sutlerer,
A settler.
which means a guy who sells sutlery, which is material and guns, and it's a general store. But that was the name they said, and I said, I like that word better than
Mercantile.
extra. What?
Oh. Can you just tell the folks here a few of your other credits and who you've worked with? Mine?
Oh, God. I always tell everybody just to look it up on IMDb. Well, I worked with Costner, I worked with Arnold Schwarzenegger, I worked with Dean Cundy for a day. And by the way, the thing where he got the idea for turning the sound off was after my scene, Zemeckis had this look on his face, and he just says, "Well, just turn the sound off, and it'll be fine." I'm proud to say that. I don't know what else did I work on. I don't know. Oh, Clint Eastwood, thank you, and Jeffrey Weissman, ladies and gentlemen.
And Short Circuit.
And by the way, I also worked with Richard Dysart in a film called Falcon and the Snowman.
Falcon and the Snowman with Sean Penn.
Didn't work with him, but we were in Mexico at the same time.
The Running Man.
I mentioned Schwarzenegger. Yeah. And I don't know. It's on IMDb. So it has nothing to do with BTF3.
Marvin, you deserve an applause for an amazing career.
Yeah.
And for those of you that don't know, Dean also shot all the Halloween films, The Thing,
That's a career, ladies and gentlemen. That's a career.
Jurassic Park,
Who Framed
Death
Roger Rabbit?
Hunter, Apollo 13.
How many films with Zemeckis? 6? 7?
I'm winded.
6?
And DB's been on, what, 400 different projects?
When you type in all the commercials and the pilots you do during pilot season, and then they became presentations, instead of 5 or 7 day shoots, they were 3 day shoots. So you had a week or two to prep and a week to wrap, and you got kind of gypped out of another week of pay, but they called them a 3 day presentation instead of a pilot. And did some Ronnie Howard things that he tried before he became one of the greatest directors in the world, in my opinion.
Eat
He
My
did a
Duck?
circus presentation we did out in the desert. One of my wives was a hairstylist on it, so it worked out.
Do you remember which one?
Yeah.
The third.
She's been married on her 4th time to a grip for like 20 years. It really worked. Yeah. So
And also with us, just to share the limelight a little bit, Cheryl and Jim both here were on part 3. Jim was part of the crew and then became a citizen, worked as a citizen, and Cheryl was a citizen in Joanna Johnston's beautiful dresses that she bought over in Europe. You wanted to say a couple things?
Well, it was the best thing I've ever done. I remember the first day on set. I remember seeing everyone, but the first day on set was amazing. Because we walked out, they brought us out, you know, and the smell of the new pine and all the chips and stuff, and then seeing that town was unbelievable. And we had a blast. I mean, I went there, I worked for 3 months. I think we were there for 3 months, day and night. And I remember in the daytime, we wore wool and I have some beautiful, I got to wear some really beautiful costumes. And it was blazing hot, like 105. And then 100, yeah. And we were in corsets, and I mean, everything was just, no. But it was, we had it all on. Petticoats, corsets, everything, and authentic. I mean, when they put you in the corset, you couldn't breathe. I learned to blow out, and then I could breathe. But, and then when we did the festival scene, they put us in really light material because it was the festival. It was so cold. So we went from being hot to really cold, but it was so much fun. We met a ton of really cool people. Just the whole experience.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, the whole experience was fantastic.
When we're wrapped up, do you mind
That was
if people come over and look at some of the photos you brought?
Pardon me?
You brought a whole couple handfuls of photos from there with cast and ZZ Top and so on and so forth. Would you mind sharing those when we're close to wrapping up here?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Thank you.
Yes, you would mind?
She said it would be great. She said it would be great.
Oh, okay.
We'll leave it at another day.
Well, thank you for.
Oh, and now we're done?
And then, thank you, George. George has got an amazing story. So, how many have met George here? George, what's your last name?
Warren Sapp, younger brother.
Yeah.
What story?
How many films have you hosted being shot up here since you've been here?
All of them.
There you go. Thank you very much, George.
Starting in the silent era.
Well, we've never had anything as big as Back to the Future, but
Were you here back then? Yeah. He was here.
yeah, that was my first time when I worked here. I've been here 30 years.
You're talking to these people out here too.
Those people, hi people.
So his first project was Back to the Future Part 3 when he started working here.
Yeah, I was behind the scenes keeping the 3 running, servicing it, making sure mostly working on the air compressor and brakes. Tony's Catering, I'm telling you what.
Is that the way to go?
Tony Karam, the best,
Oh, the best ever.
the best.
Well, I learned really quick. You had to go. You should go through the line first before you fill up your plate too early and miss something really good.
That's right.
So you always have
And the
to.
hors d'oeuvres between meals, yeah.
Oh. Yeah,
Well, we've come to a point where I have a question to ask the crowd. Would you like to continue the conversation or maybe watch a DeLorean get turned around on a turntable?
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It's the only turntable left in California.
It might be
Possibly there's
worth-
one back
worth
east,
a
but
visit.
We're just underway really here. We're getting some
Well,
traction
it's
here.
still their decision.
What do you think?
Okay.
10 more minutes?
CSX has
Can you give us 10 more
Well,
minutes?
it's happening now. I can't stop the train.
Go
if you want.
We can, how long does it
Hey, why
take?
don't they turn the train around instead?
How long, yeah, how long does it take?
Well, tell him to hold the turning for maybe about 15 minutes. George, you can do it. I can't do it.
Well, George, how long does the turning take?
Oh, 10 or 12 minutes.
Okay, we're on a 15-minute break.
yeah.
See you all in 15 minutes.
Everybody head,
We'll be back here in 15
I hate to
minutes.
break it, but I didn't want
head
you
to the head to that roundhouse.
Conway Scenic Railroad in Lincoln, New Hampshire has the East Coast turntable.
And then Florida?